Good morning, welcome to this week's gardening tour. My name's Katrina and it is the last week in July. It is starting to heat up again now, which is lovely, and so I'm getting ready to put all the mulch around the plants in the garden. The soil starts to dry out really quickly now. Whatever water that goes on the garden, I want to make sure that it's not getting sucked up by the sun as soon as I put it down, and the plants get the best opportunity to stay as damp as they need to. Today I've just done a bit of a walkthrough and I'm just going to talk over top of it. It's not going to be a real long garden tour because it's not that much different from last week, although everything has doubled or even tripled its size, which is fantastic. And some things are starting to get fruit on them, but we're not really harvesting yet. I'm picking some greens from our green manure patch and also some radishes, but that's about it for picking. I've also been organising two other gardens that I didn't show you last week, mostly because they got nothing in them. One is a dump mulch garden, and it's sort of a project to see what it would be like to have dump mulch down instead of wood chip, and pretty much the verdict's in is that dump mulch is just completely devoid of nutrient, but that's okay because we can fix that, and I'll do another video on that to show you. And another garden is a large garden that I started last year, which was to grow potatoes in it, so we call it our pot garden, and so I'm topping that up this year and getting that ready to plant all the summer crops into. Alright, I'll show you around. I pruned all the lower leaves off the kitchen garden tomatoes and just weaved all the tops through the Rio mesh. There's not much change through here. I need to mow that lawn. It's just getting on my goat a little bit, but I never mow it all the time because it's just good product to have in the compost bin. So the little lettuce there are getting a bit bigger, but that's pretty much it. The garden next to it, they're all doubled in size. And then the garden across from that is pretty much the same as last time. It needs a good weed, and I've decided that I am going to top it up with some porch and then cover it over with mulch. The basil plants have definitely got a fungus, so I need to treat that. I'll probably do that with some copper sulfate and then just see how they go. They're pretty bad. I probably should just pull them out, but I want to just see if that will work for those. But we do have a couple of little tomatoes on there. They're the black Russians. We've got a couple of radishes left over, and then the black radish, which is a long season radish, they're starting to bulb up now, so they're looking really good. The leaves I've been picking to have a munch on. You just give them a bit of a stir fry and they're really tasty. Down the bottom of that garden we've got sunflowers in there. That's where I've planted the asparagus crowns that I grew from seed last year. We've got a few snow peas on. They're just in to help the soil, but it's great if you get a few peas off them as well. So you can see there that they're the little baby asparagus. They're only a year old. It takes about 3 years before you can start picking those. There's a borage that volunteered. It's starting to grow lovely. Hopefully I'll get some seeds off that this year. We've got some nasturtiums in there too, but you can just see all those little fluffy bits. That's the asparagus plants getting big. And another nasturtium, an asparagus, and that's my pomegranate tree. I made a bit of a fertilizer. I've got another video on that and I'll show you all about it. That's a little microbe potato fertilizer that I made to help increase the microbes in the soil. It's just cooking in the sun and breeding all those lovely little microbes that I'll put on the garden. That's our green manure patch there, and that's my radishes. I have been picking a couple. That's a seed pod from that tree that's just right next to it. It's really pretty. Don't know the name of it. If anyone does, you can tell me. But they're really thick there, so what I do is I'm just picking out the little ones, and that will thin them, and then the other ones will get to grow up to be a little bit bigger. They were my breakfast. They were quite tasty actually. When I pluck them out, when they're that close together, I then just put a little bit of dirt back in that space, so the other roots just aren't left there bare and dry. You can see I've got another little one. That one there would have become quite a big radish, but it's not going to now. So that's my two little breakfast radishes, and I fry up those leaves as well. And out of the green manure I just picked a couple of, it's some sort of brassica, not sure yet. I'll have to wait and see, won't I? It's breakfast. So there's a couple of sunflowers there that are doing really well, and that's the red mustard that I put in that I had 150 plants of. You just have to check anything that I see has got holes in it. I just check that there's not a grub there still munching away, but we've been really lucky. We've got all these tiny little birds around at the moment, and they flip around and eat all those caterpillars. The chili's still doing really well. All those flowers starting to come good. And the transplanted eggplant all starting to flower. They just look so lovely. The beans are starting to run. You can see they took a little while to get going. The Italian Heritage tomatoes, they are getting heaps and heaps of flowers. There's a couple of little tomatoes on them, but the flower bunches on them, there is actually quite a lot of flowers in each bunch. I just strung them up this week so they can get a bit of support, but check out that for the amount of flowers. If they all get pollinated, that's going to be a really big bunch of tomatoes. The beans are starting to take off. I need to put some extra trellis wire on that because they're all climbing up those one thing. I decided that the cucumbers just weren't ready. They weren't taking off. They weren't happy. So I just turned them into a little bouquet that I enjoyed for about 5 seconds and then just plonked them back down to mulch. I'm going to plant snow peas there, the snow pea mammoth, which are huge, and they will climb all the way up that trellis because they just grew 7 foot last time, but I'll show you that next week. They're all my little baby radish. They are doing great. The cabbages, I need to get around and just pluck all the old leaves off, but all those cabbages, they're starting to do quite well. And just the same. So this is the paunch tomato garden that I planted out in those tiny little tomatoes. That's a little basil seed that's volunteered, which is good. Another couple of basil seeds. But yeah, those tiny little tomato tropics, they have quadrupled in size and they are powering. Those lettuce there, they're doing really well. So that's exciting. Looking forward to that. That's our outdoor bath because I don't water every day, but the lettuce and stuff still need water every day. So anyway, all our carrots and snow peas, and we're starting to get snow peas, which is fantastic. We love snow peas here. I try and plant lots and lots of snow peas because not many end up inside. we just stand around the plant and eat them, and the puppies love them too. There's lots and lots of flowers coming on at the moment. And the beans, we're getting tiny little baby beans too, which is really sweet. So that's all the little carrots down there. All the carrots. So I planted some more seedlings this week. Those there are the tomato tropics that were left over, and I just potted them up into other pots. That is my little hothouse roof. Some old roofing that we had. The little mulberry that I bought, it started to get mulberries on it. One got in the ground and this one hasn't yet. That's our bushel gourds. They were repotted into just a size up pot, and they're starting to take off too, but they're just going to keep under that little hothouse for a little while. The extra tomato tropics, I'm going to give a few of those away. And in here I've got some more pumpkins, and they're the Marconi capsicums. They got planted out this week. They've also doubled in size, and next to those I planted some sweet corn. They're the seedlings I told you last week. I haven't planted out that side of the bed yet because I want those seedlings to get bigger, but I did plant out this side of the bed. They have got the Sunny Boy yellow tomatoes and some of the lettuce that were left over. We only had like a few of that lettuce seed. It's more of a reddish type lettuce. So I planted them in there so they can be looked after really well, seeing we only had a few of them. But yeah, they're doing really well. They doubled in size too. Our compost bin is getting almost full. And I'm just finding pumpkins everywhere. Pumpkins, you look around and you find a pumpkin. That one's quite a heavy pumpkin too. I've got more pumpkin flowers, so I decided to pollinate that one. All you do is you just get a male flower and you take off the lovely little outside. Oh, a little lady beetle. So here we go, we'll find a male flower. and then you take off the petals and find your female flower. We got two right next to each other, so there's no point doing both of them because only one will do well. And you pollinate the female, just like that. Get that pollen everywhere, close it up, and then it's all done. I'm getting some powdery mildew. They've got little hairs that can stick into your skin sometimes. So I need to go around and just trim off all the powdery mildew leaves. I'll get back to that one later. And another little lady beetle. We just have pumpkins popping up out of the ground like female dwarfs at the moment. Everywhere you stand, you could trip over a pumpkin. More powdery mildew. Need to just get rid of that. This is the large raised garden bed, and they're all the lettuce that we had lots and lots of. That's a flower, but that one, the lettuce, all those ones are buttercrunch and cos, and you can just slightly tell the difference just because of the leaves. At the top there's some broccolini. They're doing well, they're really powering on. And some beneficial insects. Happy to see those. And sunflower. And my Anaheim chili and spinach. All doing really well. And the red cabbage. They've definitely doubled in size. Like I said, we've got little, oh, I had carrots, that's right. So up against the metal part, I planted carrot seeds because it stays damp all the time, even though it's a bit warm. So I'm just going to see if carrots will come up there. Some cauliflower and some more lettuce because we had lots of it, and a beautiful sunflower. So we've got pumpkins, like I said, we've got pumpkins just springing up out of the ground everywhere. I look, and I'm not surprised because I went around and fertilized a lot of pumpkin flowers. So that's what it looks like when a pumpkin flower doesn't fertilize. I cleaned up that pumpkin patch, and I was walking along the top garden bed and stood on something hard and found yet again another pumpkin. This is the back of the shed garden, and all the red mustard I planted there, it's just tripled in size as well, doing exceptionally well. It's not even getting any water. That's the top garden, and I've been grabbing mulch for that and getting it ready. In relation to where it is with against the other garden, you just like got across that little rock area and you end up at that garden. I have been collecting stuff to put on it like biochar. I broke my shovel. I really like my old tools usually. I've bought new tools and they break a lot quicker, but the old tools I'll collect from garage sales and stuff, and eventually they give in too, but you know, we fix them. You can't fix the new tools, they're usually made of plastic. It's I looked at it's the old Cyclone brand. Let's see if they're still around. I need some more mulch for the garden, so I've been mowing up along the Nandok mango trees. I always tend to jinx it when I mow up along the trees. We don't get mangoes here often because we're in a rainforest area, so as soon as it rains the flowers get a disease, and the tiny little fruits, they get that disease too, so they all just drop off. But sometimes we're really lucky and it doesn't rain the whole time the flowers are on and when the fruit's tiny, and we get a huge crop of mangoes. But if we've got mangoes here, it means they've got mangoes everywhere, so that's alright. We just have a good pig out and store some for later. However, I like to mow along the sides because the trees are really big, and it means that I can drive the car, the ute, through, and we stand on that to pick. Yeah, so I'm kind of getting two jobs done at once, but also I really need the mulch for one of the gardens, so that's come in handy. And I've got so much of it that today that is my job, to scoop it all up. So just a quick poke around today. Not much has changed, but it's always nice just to have a sticky beak and see how things are growing. So I hope that you're getting out and enjoying your garden this week and that it's growing as lovely as mine is. We've had spectacular weather, so I hope you're enjoying spectacular weather where you are as well. I've got some other videos coming out this week about the dump mulch garden and the pot garden, so I hope you join me for those as well. And thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a lovely week. See ya!